So we will start today's lecture. So good morning again. We will start today's lecture with another simple topic, but it is important and involved in most of the CNS functioning. And before starting this lecture, we have also announced May end exam, and that will start mostly from 28. We will conduct it. Don't worry about this rules and regulation. You just have to prepare and be there for exam. We will conduct it by any means. And as per as syllabus is concerned, again we are focusing for this month on GIT and this endocrine. So mostly that will be completed within this month or in first week of June, and from then June we will be concentrating on the remaining CNS portion and practicals. Okay, so today's topic is reflexes. So reflexes or reflex action is an involuntary response to the peripheral nervous stimulation, like in synapse and receptors. You might be now knowing very well regarding the response, receptor, stimulus, and this response is generated with the help of reflex. So it is an involuntary response to the peripheral stimulation or external stimulation. So what it has a sensory impulse which is getting converted into the motor response. So it is there is a sensory input, and from that you are getting a motor response. So it is a sort of protective reflex or protective mechanism. Now how it helps, what is the functions of this you can say reflexes. So their functions will be to maintain the, is there any problem? So their basic functions are so it serves homeostatic function, mostly regulation of blood pressure with the reflexes, regulation of heart rate with autonomic reflexes, digestive functions, automatic functions, balance, posture, maintenance of tone of the anti-gravity muscle, movement of our eye, movement of our head. So all these are maintained by these different reflexes. Now the basic component of working this reflexes is called as reflex arc. So it is a neural pathway of reflex action which is called as reflex arc, and its components are, definitely it will have receptor, afferent nerve, its center, efferent nerve, and the ultimate effector organ. Okay. So you can see this reflex arc here. You can see the spinal cord as this organ, main organ or integrating center for this reflex. You can see this reflex is generated at the peripheral receptor or the skin. We have seen there are different types of receptor: Meissner corpuscle, Pacinian corpuscle, free nerve ending. So all they act as a receptor for different types of stimuli. So they act as a receptor over here. You can see this blue lining, they are the afferent neurons, afferent nerves. They are sensory neurons, afferent nerves, integrating at the association at the central integrating center with the help of association neuron, and from this arisal of this efferent nerve or you can say here motor neuron, and ultimately it is ending at the effector organ. Here if it is this, you can say it can be muscle or it can be a sort of gland or any of the organ. So this is the reflex arc. So this is the component of the reflex arc, and in university you will see that you will get this as a short note, either reflex arc or reflex phenomena, or draw diagram of reflex arc, functions of reflex arc. So you have to tell what we have learned till now. Now you can see a line diagram of typical reflex. You can see stimulus, this is sensory stimulus, this is a receptor, sensory neuron, there will be interneuron, motor neuron, and the effector organ will be muscle. So typical reflex arc has a sensory neuron which detect the stimulus with the help of receptor. Interneurons most often can be excitatory or inhibitory. Motor neurons which produces with the action potential will be traversing from this motor neuron to the effector organ. Okay, so this is a typical line diagram of the reflex. Now how you can classify the different types of reflexes? So the reflexes can be inborn. There are many reflexes we have that is inborn, and after learning we acquired some reflexes. So we can categorize them as inborn or you can say and otherwise acquired. So inborn and acquired. Another one is anatomical classification, on the basis of from which part they are getting generated. So either cerebellum or cerebral or spinal. So this is the anatomical. Physiological classification, whether they are protective, anti-gravity, or flexor or extensor. So that is a physiological, or whether they are protective or non-protective. Clinical classification, primitive or neonatal reflexes. Neonatal reflexes means they will be there at the age of infancy, means up to 1 year, 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year. After that they disappear. So these are the primitive reflexes. Okay. Depending upon the number of synapses, means whether that reflex is containing 2 synapse, 3 synapse, or multi synapse, or a single synapse. Okay, so this is the general classification. Again, inborn or acquired, anatomical, physiological, clinical, primitive, or they are also called as neonatal reflex, and the monosynaptic or polysynaptic. Okay, so we will see now one example of inborn versus acquired reflex. Now you can see in this diagram, at first you will see that it is written over before conditioning. Before conditioning means you are not giving any condition to this reflex. Now this is, you can see, when you serve food, automatically there will be salivation from the dog's mouth. Okay, so there is no any type of condition is there. It is inborn reflex. Whenever you provide food to any animal, there will be salivation from the mouth. Okay, so this is called, you can call as inborn reflex. Unconditioned, this is unconditioned stimulus, and this is unconditioned response. So there is no such condition. You can see this whenever there is a smell of food, or you see the food, or you try to eat the food, there will be increase in the salivation, and that is an inborn reflex. You will see it throughout the life. You don't have to learn that. Now again, in second diagram, you can see you have given a neutral stimulus, means any sort of stimulus, just like a ringing of bell. When you ring the bell and you want to see the response, so will you get a particular sort of response in all animals? No. Usually what here we want to say, there will not be, definitely there will not be salivation. Either that dog will be looking at that bell, or he may will not be look at that bell, he will look over here and there. So this is a sort of neutral stimulus, but it will not affect the salivation. So you can see there is no salivation from the mouth of that dog. Now what you have done, हेलो, हाँ मामा जी बोलिए ना। हाँ हाँ ठीक है ना, ठीक है, मैं करता हूँ। हाँ okay, so in third diagram you can see, now you want to condition this mechanism. Okay, now how you are conditioning? First you are ringing the bell, okay, which was your neutral stimulus, and then you are giving food every time. So for 10 to 15 days you rang the bell, then after that you give the food to that dog. So definitely first you will rang the bell, then you will give the food, and then there will be salivation. You can see that reflex. Okay, now after some days what you do, what you have done, you have rung the bell. Immediately what you will see that the dog started salivation. Now you can compare now this 2 and 4 diagram, which where bell was a neutral stimulus. Now here in diagram 4 it is now a conditioned stimulus. Now what is condition? When you ring the bell, you are going to give food to the dog. So dog has now acquired that sort of salivation reflex, that as soon as there will be ringing of bell, that person, some person will give him food and he will eat that. Now that neutral stimulus become a conditioned stimulus. So every time whenever you ring the bell, the dog start salivating. That whether you give him food or you do not give him food, he will definitely, or you can see there can be definitely salivation. So this is what, now that dog has acquired this reflex or this conditioned stimulus as a this salivation reflex. So it is, he has learned, or the dog has learned, that neutral stimulus is now here a conditioned reflex. So every time when you ring the bell, there will be salivation. Okay, so this is sort of, you can compare this. In such way we acquire the different sort of reflexes. For any response, whatever response we give, we have conditioned ourselves, like just like swimming. So after 10 to 15 days, before that, you, when you enter into the swimming pool, you will not be able to maintain yourself. This you have also, might have also learned in GIT, inborn versus acquired reflex. Okay, so this is also you can say Pavlov's experiment on dog, where he has conditioned a neutral stimulus. The neutral stimulus is here as ringing the bell. When you ring the bell, for many times you will not see that there will not be any sort of salivation. Okay. But when you try to condition this neutral response with the some of your conditioned response, or this conditioned stimulus, so what you are giving over here, after ringing the bell, you are giving him food, okay, which was unconditioned stimulus. Now when you, for next time, for 10 to 15 days, when you ring the bell, automatically there will be salivation of the salivation from the mouth of dog. So this is now a conditioned stimulus. So you have conditioned one neutral stimulus into a conditioned stimulus. So this is called as conditioned stimulus, or you can say now this is acquired reflex, sort of acquired reflex. Another type of classification is anatomical classification, and it can be cerebellar reflex, cortical reflex, midbrain reflex, bulbar reflex, medullary reflex, spinal reflex. Like in medullary reflexes, we have seen the reflexes which is important for the respiration: Bainbridge reflex, inflation reflex, deflation reflex. Okay, so these are the reflexes which is important for the respiratory system. So we have seen this conditioned and unconditioned response. Okay. Then anatomical: cerebellar, cortical, midbrain reflexes, bulbar or medullary reflexes, and spinal reflexes. We have seen medullary reflexes controlling the respiratory system, cardiovascular system. Okay, where there is Bainbridge reflexes, inflation reflex, deflation reflex. Okay, CNS response, that is a cortical reflex, CNS ischemic response. Spinal reflexes like withdrawal reflexes, flexure reflex, extension reflex. Okay, so these are the general reflexes you might have learned. Now physiologically there can be two type of reflexes. One is protective reflexes, another one is anti-gravity. Protective reflexes are flexure reflexes. So all the flexure reflexes are protective reflexes. Why it is called as protective reflexes? Because whenever anything harming to the body, when we feel any harm to the body, we try to flex our body. Okay, or if it is you are in extension posture, or your upper limb is in extension posture, if there is any harm, you will flex it. So flexure reflexes is a protective reflex. Now anti-gravity reflex, they are extension reflex. I mean, so all the extension compartment of your body, they are supporting your body against the gravity. That's why extension of your body or extension reflexes are called as anti-gravity reflexes. Okay, so you can learn this reflex over here again, extension, how they are, you can say, protective or anti-gravity reflex. Okay, here you can see you are walking on ground. In diagram in one, you can see the green one. Okay, you are walking on ground and there is some pin or there, or metal nail over there, and you place your right foot. Okay, now with that right foot there will be some nociceptors over your foot which will sense for that pain stimuli. Okay, and that pain stimuli with the afferent nerves or these sensory nerves will be traveling to the spinal cord. Okay, you can see these are the two sensory neurons. They are entering on the which dorsal root ganglia into this gray matter, and you can see some of them fibers will be as they are sensory, they will ascend to the with this ascending tract. Now some fiber, you can see, immediately with they have to give the spinal reflex, and their center is at the spinal cord. They will synapse with the interneurons, and they will be again synapsing with the motor neurons, which is giving response to that right flexure compartment of the lower limb. Okay, so you can see over the here there is a flexure written over here. Flexures contract moving foot away from the painful stimulus. So you can see from this uh, prick or from this nail, your foot is lifted towards the body. So there is a flexion of this at knee joint and flexion at the hip joint. So flexures contract, moving foot away from painful stimulus. And for right limb, there is also inhibition of the extension that we have seen in properties of synapse also. So same group of in same limb, there will be stimulation of the flexure compartment. Simultaneously, there will be inhibition of the extensor compartment. So there can be good flexion. Okay. So you can see over here. So that reflex is immediately responding to the giving action potential to the motor nerve, and that motor nerve is stimulating the flexure muscles of the lower limb, and simultaneously with the interneuron, you can name me which interneuron will play in inhibition of the extensor compartment over here. You can name me that name of neuron. Anyone can name that neuron? Yes. Which type of interneurons are important for the inhibition of the, you can say, neurons, inhibition of the synapse, synaptic inhibition? You can name me the neuron, interneuron. You can name that interneuron. They are called as yes, they are called as collateral inhibition. Okay, but name of that neuron, you can name. Yes, name then. Yes sir, yes sir. Everyone is saying yes sir, yes sir. You can name, you write the name of, in chat you write the name of that neuron. I have taught you in the previous class, synapse and Renshaw. Very good. Who is saying that? Sakshi Ahuja. Very good. Renshaw cell neuron or Renshaw cell inhibition. हेलो, हाँ बोलो.
हेलो,
हाँ बोलिए ना.
हेलो.
हाँ बोलिए ना.
मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ सर, एक बार रिव्यू पूछ लीजिएगा लास्ट में कि आज की वीडियो ठीक रहा, पहले से क्या था, मैं सब ठीक किया था
आज तो 2 बार इंटरप्ट हो रहा है अपने आप में. अभी फिर से चालू हुआ है.
हाँ.
अभी तो चल रहा है. हाँ, मैं पूछता हूँ ना अभी. ओके, Renshaw cell neuron. Okay, Renshaw cell neuron. So with the Renshaw cell neuron, there will be inhibition of the same group extensor muscle. Okay, and in that way you can see there is a uplifting of the right limb. Okay, now what happen if you simultaneously uplift the left limb? The person will fall. So one reflex you have seen that right on right limb, it is a protective reflex that is protected your limb from getting pricked, but with left limb it has to support your body also. So that is anti-gravity reflex or supporting reflex. And now how that will happen? That will happen with the crossing of this neuronal fiber at the spinal cord. You can see diagram 3C in green color. 3C, this interneurons are crossing from this, suppose this is the right part of the spinal cord, it is crossing to the left portion and it is stimulating to the extensor compartment of the left limb. Yes, so it is a very good sort of reflex. You can see there is a combination of the reflex. So here in right side you are getting the flexion, left side they are stimulating the extensor group of muscles. So there is a stimulation of the extensor compartment of the muscle. Simultaneously with the Renshaw cell inhibition, there is inhibition of the flexure group of muscle on the left limb. Yes. So on left limb you will see that there is extension of the feet, and right limb there will be, you will see that there is a flexion of the feet. So right limb is protected from the prick, and left limb is protecting whole of your body to getting fall from the against the gravity. So it is playing against the gravity, that is why it is anti-gravity reflex or supporting reflex. Okay, so here what is happening in the left limb, there is extension of the limb or stimulation of the extensor compartment of the muscle, and inhibition of the flexure compartment of the. Okay, so again we summarize. At 1 you can see painful stimulus activate this nociceptors. At 2 you can see primary sensory neurons entered spinal cord and diverges. 3A, one collateral is going to the with the sensory pathway to judge the type of pain or whatever stimulus you are getting at the sensory cortex. 3B you will see that there is a withdrawal reflex or flexion at this right limb. So it is a sort of withdrawal reflex which pulls the foot from the painful stimulus. And 3C you will see that with the crossed extension reflex which supports your body against the gravity, so that your body will maintain a posture with one limb, otherwise your body will fall with the pulling of gravity. So it is the, you can say it is a multiple reflexes, synapses, polysynaptic reflex. You can see over here one of the example of polysynaptic reflex, you can say anti-gravity reflex, you can say protective reflex, or you can say withdrawal reflex. Okay, so in one diagram, this is a very good diagram. If you are not, if you haven't got this, you can again tell me, I will repeat it, but it is very important diagram to learn. Okay. Everyone is getting this, no problem? Yes? Okay. Now then we will see some clinical reflexes which is important in your diagnosing some neuronal diseases, and in first MBBS we have to perform this in practical session also. So clinical reflexes are superficial reflexes, deep reflexes, visceral reflexes, and some more pathological reflexes, so that we will learn. So what are the superficial reflexes? Superficial reflexes are where the tendon or the receptors are placed very superficially just below the skin. That is why they are called as superficial reflexes. And what are these reflexes? They are plantar reflex, abdominal reflex, cremasteric reflex, corneal reflex, conjunctival reflex. We will see one example of one of them. So you can learn, these are superficial reflexes. Plantar reflex. Plantar reflex means, you can see in this diagram, first diagram, where that person or doctor is stroking the plantar aspect of the foot, and you will see the response. So usually what you will see, there will be flexion of this toes, all of the toes will get flexed. Or if you are not, you will not be able to see the flexion, you can see the contraction of the flexure compartment at this you can say lower limb. Okay. Or just this flexure compartment of the lower limb will get contraction. So you can see visible contraction, or you can see the flexion of the all toes. Abdominal reflex means you have to stroke the abdominal wall with some hard object, not so pointed but blunt object, and you will see that all abdominal muscles will get contract. Cremasteric reflex means when you stroke at this scrotal screen, there will be elevation of the testis, so that is a cremasteric reflex. Corneal reflex, when you touch with the fine thread or the cornea or the conjunctiva, you will see that there will be closure of the eyelids. So corneal reflexes and conjunctival reflexes will be when you touch over the cornea or conjunctiva, there will be closure of the eyelids. So these are all superficial reflexes. Now what are the deep reflexes? These are the deep reflexes where the receptor or the stimulus receiving organ is very deep into the skin, like in the tendons or at the nearby the joint. So what are these reflexes? These are bicep reflex. You will be doing all these reflexes when you come back, or I will try to get you all of this reflexes in next month with the online tutorial. So these are biceps, tricep reflex, knee reflex and ankle reflex. So you can see over here bicep reflex at first, this diagram. I can if I can name that. Okay. So deep reflexes, bicep, you can see A. This A is a bicep reflex where you can see that person. You can try this at your home, but don't stroke very firmly. You have to you take any subject from your home, like your father, mother or brother, and you keep their arm supported at the table or in your one arm. Suppose you are picking right arm of the, or you take left arm of the subject, keep it over your left arm and use hold this hammer in your right arm. Keep your thumb over the bicep tendon of this muscle at the elbow joint, and over your this thumb, this middle phalanx of the thumb, you stroke the you can stroke the with this you can see, I can show you in but I have to share now again. Share desktop, share desktop. Desktop. Yes, also. You can see the YouTube channel here. Can you see the YouTube channel in our desktop?
जोश में ऐश्वर्या शाहरुख की बनी थी बहन, चाहे जो
Okay. If you can see,
First, identify the biceps tendon. Feel this in the antecubital fossa. It's a little bit to the medial side. If you're not sure where it is, have the patient contract the biceps, make the muscle good, relax. That you can feel the ropey tendon shorten when this muscle.
okay, you can see that person, how you can draw this bicep reflex.
Where it is, have the patient contract the biceps, make a muscle good, relax. That you can feel the ropey tendon shorten when this muscle contracts. Have the patient relax their arm, place your finger on the biceps tendon, and strike your finger.
Okay, you can see.
Note the muscle shorten.
So you have to
or
first
arm.
identify the bicep tendon, which is medially at this, or
Have the
medially
patient
or
rest
centrally at
their
this
left arm in
cubital
your left
fossa,
arm, and put your thumb on the biceps tendon.
and then
strike
put
your
your finger over the bicep,
Moving
this
flex
tendon,
of the bicep
and
shortens,
stroke with the
and the forearm
hammer.
flexes.
What you will see, there will be flexion of
Same
the
thing would be done for the right
this
side.
your hand. There will be flexion of the upper limb. Okay, so you can see this reflexes in the YouTube also. So you in YouTube you type any of the reflexes which we have seen, you will see the different, not visible. Okay.
I'm now going to demonstrate
Okay, you try to see it in your YouTube mobile, and so you type any of this reflex, tricep, bicep, knee reflex, ankle reflex, you will see that the good quality video will be there. Same in tricep reflex, you can see this lady over here, this A and B diagrams are there. Rest this diagram, which is not having any this name, this is tricep reflex, with that lady showing her left limb extended, and a person is stroking at the tendon of the tricep muscle. So what you will see there will be extension of the upper limb. In knee reflex, again you have to stroke on the patellar tendon just below the patella, and you will see that there is the extension of the lower limb. In ankle reflex, you can see in B diagram B, that is ankle reflex, you have to stroke on this Achilles tendon, that is the tendon of gastrocnemius muscle. So as soon as you stroke on this muscle, you will see that there is the extension of the this extension at the ankle joint or the extension of the foot. Okay, so these are the deep reflexes. Okay, so we have seen superficial reflexes, deep reflexes. Now there are some visceral reflexes are there. Visceral reflexes are peristalsis, coughing, sneezing, vomiting, swallowing. So these are the visceral reflexes where there is some because of some stimulation, there will be stimulation of the receptors that will go with the nerve, that will from spinal connection as a center, it will be coming back again to that viscera. And in peristalsis reflex, you will see that there is a movement of the small intestine. Coughing, there will be expulsion of some foreign body or the cough or the mucosa, so it will be shaded with the expiration, that is coughing. Sneezing, foreign body or the nasal cavity, it will get out. Omitting, the content of your GIT will come out because of some nauseous stimulation. Okay, swallowing, as soon as you put anything into your mouth, so immediately there will be deglutition reflex and that will get swallowed. So these are the visceral reflexes. We will learn all this, or you might have been learning this omitting and swallowing in GIT. Sneezing and coughing we have seen in respiratory system. Peristalsis you will see in GIT in detail. Okay, so these are the some visceral reflexes. Now how these visceral reflexes are there? You can see stimulus will be there, yellow, red, round, oval shaped stimulus. This rectangular receptor will be there. Then it is going with the sensory neuron. In this the spinal cord, again it is having integrating neuron. In red color you can see integrating neuron, and it will have stimulating the some this efferent neurons, and which is going to the ganglia, post ganglionic autonomic neuron, and it will be stimulating to a target cell, and the response will be there. Either there will be salivation, there will be secretion, there will be peristalsis, there will be vomiting, there will be emptying of the GIT tract, there will be emptying of the stomach, there will be emptying of the intestine, there will be feeling of the intestine, there will be feeling of the gastric lumen. So these are all the autonomic or visceral reflexes. Okay. Now the important and very interesting are the neonatal reflex, which you can see only in neonate. So newborn baby, if you have nearby newborn baby within your you can say vicinity or in your home, you can see for such reflex. Don't try to stimulate the baby, he will cry or you will land up in some trouble. So don't try to have neonatal reflexes. You can see some reflex like Moro's reflex, you can easily see. You just stroke the table or bed of that baby, you will see that that baby will fang his upper and lower limb out from his body. So there will be extension of all of his extremity, upper and lower limb. Just you try to stroke the table or stroke the bed 1 feet away or 2 feet away from that baby. Okay, so that is a Moro's reflex, in which is very primitive reflex. So these reflexes are asymmetrical tonic neck reflex, means neck, there will be when you try to pull the limb of that baby, there will be rotation of the neck. Moro's reflex, just I have told you that there is a extension of his lower and upper extremity. Okay. Palmar Gris reflex, it is very easy reflex. You can see when you try to put anything or your finger into the grip or into the palm of that baby, he will or she will try to hold it. That is a palmar grasp reflex. Okay, so up to 1 year or up to 6 months, you can see if you put your finger in baby's palm, it will hold it. Okay, so that is a palmar grasp reflex. Uh, Second one is rooting reflex. When you try to put your this on the you try to stroke with your finger over the this cheek of the baby, it will try to find out where from this stimulus is coming, so it will turn his head towards your stimulation. So that is called as rooting reflex. Sucking reflex means you will try to put anything, don't try to put anything, either clean finger or any you can say any good clean object into the mouth of baby, it will try to suck it. So these are the suckling reflex. Symmetrical tonic neck reflex. Symmetrical tonic means if you try to extend or flex the limb from the same side, there will be extension or this extension of the neck on that same side. Asymmetrical means will be against opposite side. So these are only neonatal reflex. So what this means after 6 months after birth, or 7 months or 8 months or 1 year, these reflexes you will not see this. Means you might not be seeing Moro's reflex within you. There is no palmar grasp reflex in you. Means it is not like that someone is putting in anything in your palm, you will try to hold it automatically. Voluntarily, if you want to hold it, you can hold, but automatically it will not be get hold. There is no suckling reflex in adult. There is no rooting reflex, no symmetrical tonic neck reflexes. So these are only the neonatal. There are 20 to 25 neonatal reflexes. You can see in YouTube and try to find out the different type of the neonatal reflexes, and they are very good and very interesting reflexes. Now last one will be the applied aspect of the reflexes, that is the pathological reflexes, that what we have to find out in the patient. So pathological reflexes, one is in the plantar reflex, that is called as also Babinski sign positive, because it is first time identified by the doctor naming Babinski. So it is called as Babinski sign. So what is happening there? In plantar reflexes we have seen previously, when you stroke, you can see in this diagram, when you are stroking on this plantar aspect of the foot on the lateral side, when you stroke along this lateral portion of the foot, you will see that there is a flexion of the toes. All toes get flexed. But if there is any lesion in the neuronal pathway, you will see that this Babinski sign is positive, that is there will be extension of the toes and they will get fanning out. There will be fanning out of the toes. So that is called as Babinski's reflex. So it is positive in spinal injury, that is mass reflex. It can be presented in the stroke or cerebral palsy in the form of clonus. Okay, so you can see over here. So it is a very good tool to identify whether the person is having any neuronal lesion, or if he is having previous neuronal lesion, whether it is getting responded to with your therapeutic line of management. Previously it was Babinski sign positive, now if it is negative or there is a normal extension, then the person is responding to your line of treatment. So you can see again normal responses here when you stimulate the skin over here. In first diagram you will see that flexion of the toes, so all toes go down. Now if there is Babinski sign positive, there will be extension of the toes and they will just like fanning of the toes. So this is called as Babinski sign. Usually we see it is in positive in upper motor neuron lesion, that we will see what do you mean by upper motor and lower motor neuron lesion. Now depending on the number of synapses, so we have seen monosynaptic reflex like bicep reflex, tricep reflex, knee reflex, ankle reflex. These are the monosynaptic reflexes. Okay, means within this your reflex arc there is only one synapse of the neurons. Okay, but in polysynaptic reflex is like withdrawal reflex. Means once you get stimulation and there is a withdrawal of the limb, that they are polysynaptic reflexes. Like you can see monosynaptic reflex, this is arising from this muscle spindle sensory neuron that is synapting at this gray matter of the spinal cord with one synapse on the motor nerve, and it is ending at the muscle. So this is monosynaptic, that is knee, bicep, tricep reflex. These are the monosynaptic reflex. Now polysynaptic, this is, I think this is a monosynaptic reflex. Okay, you can see the diagram of the monosynaptic reflex. There is a here, or you can see an yellow oval shape stimulus. So how you can get a knee reflex is like you tap on the tendon of this patellar, on the patellar tendon. So receptors will be at the muscle spindle on this hamstring muscle. So afferent pathway, afferent nerve is carrying these impulses to the spinal cord. Spinal cord is synapting with one synapse over the motor neuron. There is a efferent pathway. The effector organ will be quadriceps muscle, and there will be response will be the extension of the this lower limb. Okay, so this is a monosynaptic. Now polysynaptic reflex means you can see one sensory neuron, you can see it is synapsing with the A, B, C or different different neurons, and at different neurons again then synapsing with the motor neuron, and the reflex will be there. So this is the polysynaptic reflex. One of the example of polysynaptic reflex we have seen, that is a withdrawal reflex or the crossed extension reflex in previous slides also. Okay, so this is the example of polysynaptic reflex. Okay. Now what are the properties of these reflexes which we have learned? Now all the properties of synapse or the receptors you can apply over there. They also follow, these reflexes also follow the properties of the synapse, because ultimately there is a synapse of the one neuron with the another neuron. So adequate stimulus that we have seen, final common pathway, that is alpha motor neuron. There will be delay of the response because of the transmission of the neurotransmitter from one synapse to the another into the synaptic cleft. There will be transmission of action potential, generation of the action potential at the receptor level. It will get transferred. That's why there will be delay. There will be one-way conduction that will follow the law of Bell and Magendie. The summation, temporal and spatial summation will be there. There will be occlusion because of the multiple neurons are stimulating to the multiple numbers of another neurons. There will be subminimal or subliminal fringe of the neurons with the another connections. Okay, so these all properties which we have seen in the synapse, the reflexes also follows this property. So if the question will be there, like you have to draw the diagram of reflex, draw what do you mean by reflex arcs, what is the function of reflexes, what are the properties of reflexes. So you have to explain all the properties which we have seen in the synapse. So if you get 10 marks on the reflex, it will be a very easy and good question to answer in central nervous system. Okay, but you will rarely get the long question on reflexes, but if you got this, then you will be very lucky. these are the property. Recruitment, that is the strength with increases with the magnitude of the stimulation. Irradiation spreads in the neighboring areas. Facilitation, response gradually increases with some serotonic or another stimulation. Inhibition, that is a presynaptic, reciprocal inhibition. It will get fatigued or habituated, okay, and there will be reverberation or there will be neuronal pull of this synapses. It will get also sensitized. Noxious stimulus intensifies the responses because of the presynaptic facilitation of the impulse. Now, clinically we have to grade this reflexes also. So how you can grade means you are stroking over the patellar tendon and what type of response you are getting, whether it is absent, whether it is present, or someone is, when you try to struck over the knee, this patellar response, and he has kicked you in front of you, so or he will kick his leg over you, so that is a very exaggerated response. So on that basis we can grade the different type of this reflex. Like grades are 0, 1 plus, 2 plus, 3 plus and 4 plus. So 0 means even after stimulation or stroking you are not getting any sort of response. So the muscle or that joint has not responded. That is a 0 or absent response, or grade will be 0 and the response will be absent. 1 plus or plus 1, that is hypoactive, means there will be only slight, you can say the slight response or a flicker of contractions over the muscles where you are stroking. 2 plus will be the normal response, what you should get ideally. And what is normal is when you do lots of responses like reflexes, then you will come to know how much that response or that leg should go. That is a normal grading. 3 plus is hyperactive without clonus, means the person is very much hyperactive and he is giving too much response to your stroke. 4 plus is hyperactive with the clonus, so there will be hyperactivation of that reflex with there is sustained contraction for some time, that is the clonus, sustained contraction. So that is a 4 plus response. Okay, so that is end of this reflexes. So we have almost completed some small topics on the CNS, and we will again complete some important topics in CNS. If you have any doubt, you can ask, or you can ask in this your WhatsApp group.